that's okay. You know?
If you guys want a realtor that's really into clean eating, just let me know.
Dietitian.
What's up, everybody? We're here today on the Road Home podcast. We're here with Jackie Cipolla from Listing Pro Realty.
Hi.
How's it going?
Oh, there's the camera. It's going well.
Yeah,
Thank you for asking.
This is your guys' camera.
It's going well. Thank you. How are you?
Nice. I'm pretty good. Just taking care of business.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Jackie Cipolla. I've been a realtor for, I guess, about 3 years now, and I work with my husband, Tim Cipolla, #Cipolla Homes. And we just, it's funny because I feel like there aren't really a lot of realtor couples out there, or at least on Long Island that I know.
There's very few. Yeah, you're right.
Right? Because honestly, it's not easy to work with your spouse, okay? I mean, like... And I say that with all the love in my heart. Like, I don't know how, like, Chip and Joanna Gaines, they, like, manage it all because they are honestly rock stars, okay? The communication and everything is so important, but especially when you work with your spouse. I mean, obviously, it's important, just off the bat with your relationship, but it becomes like such an adventure to like do it together with like different like twists and turns. And you have to really, you have to really have like a strong foundation and like a lot of trust and a lot of just like respect for your partner. And so like, I feel really lucky that I have that with Tim, honestly, because I don't think I could have done this with anybody else. You know what I mean? Like it was not, when I was a little girl, it's not like I said to myself, I can't wait to be a realtor. I can't wait to sell houses. And it's that which is fine. I don't know if a lot of people are like that when they're younger, but it's been awesome. It's been an awesome 3 years doing this with Tim. We're also both teachers, which is something hysterical too, I think, because it's like we're both teachers and we're both realtors, right? So we both have that kind of like, we understand each other in so many ways instead of just one. And we both have experiences that we can connect to in different kinds of ways. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you teach?
So I actually am taking time off from teaching right now because I just had a baby.
Oh, congratulations. There you go.
Thank you so much. His name is Theodore, but we call him Teddy. And he's so freaking cute. He's about 4.5 months now. Actually, maybe 5 months next week. But I'm taking some time off, but I've been an elementary education teacher for 10 years now. So it's like a decade of doing that kind of work, which is honestly incredible. Real estate is amazing, but I will say teaching is the best job in the world, especially if you love children.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Like being with kids. So sorry, this is a real estate podcast.
No. Look.
Say it again the right way.
So this whole podcast is about what led you into real estate.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get here?
Yeah.
So obviously, you married Tim and you guys were both teachers, and then John was the inspiration to parlay both of you into real estate, right? Yeah.
So John Enriquez, shout out to John. John Enriquez was he was Tim's friend from school. And ironically enough, I know we mentioned before, it's this very small world, right? He was actually my younger brother's baseball coach when my brother was much younger, in like middle school, I think, which is, like crazy, like so just
small
a random
world,
thing.
right?
Yeah, because then Tim was like, oh, I have a friend, his name is John Enriquez. And I was like, okay, cool. And then he would tell my parents that they worked at the same school together. And my dad was like, John Enriquez, oh, that was your brother's coach. And lo and behold, it was. But anyway, so John became one of Tim's good friends. And then we were looking for a house. The first realtor we worked with, he was nice, but honestly, we were just kind of feeling out like where we wanted to live, what we could afford, and he just, after we went to showings with him, I think one weekend and then maybe another, afterwards, he just texted us and was like, hey guys, I think until you figure out where you want to live for sure, like basically like in the nicest way possible, like, please don't talk to me until you're ready to like sign a contract and like put money down. And
that was what your realtor said to you?
That's not how he said it, but that was the underlying message.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
No, I understand.
So, because he was nice about it via text, but still, and Tim and I were kind of blown away by how unprofessional that was. And, it's not that like we were trying to give the realtor a hard time, especially like now, like reflecting back on it as a realtor, like when you are first house hunting, especially as a young couple, newly married, if you don't have a background in construction, in just like in homes in general, you have no idea what you're doing. Like,
of course, yeah.
You don't know what school district, area, you kind of just looking at houses and
that's literally the job of the realtor is to like
you have an
help you walk through all of these things.
Exactly. And you have an idea in your head of like, oh, I want a giant walk-in closet. Like that's easy for me to figure out, right?
Small stuff,
yeah. But you also, it's especially in Long Island, it's a lot about learning about what you want, but also like what fits in your budget, to be frank. And that's okay, right?
Yeah,
I think that there's like a big push with social media these days on like what we should expect when we get to a certain age or a stage in our life. And I just don't think that's realistic. And I think that people can get lost in that kind of like almost like pressure that nobody's putting on them, but because they see it so much in the media, they think, oh, I need this. Oh, I have to be this. Oh, this is how my life should look, quote unquote, right? And the fact of the matter is, it's not like that in reality, which is okay. So we didn't really, we had that experience, with our realtor. And then comes along John, and Tim's like, why don't we just use Enriquez? And I was like, does he know about houses? Because I'm like, you sure? And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, I mean, why not? He's been doing it. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, he's our friend. I trust him, right?
Yeah.
And that's
someone
that
you feel comfortable with.
Right. And that's like the first thing I tell everybody when they're just like inquiring about, Tim and I as realtors. My thing is like, please don't hire me if like you don't genuinely like trust me, right? Because that's like the thing. I trusted John. Tim trusted John because he had the previous relationship with him, right? So
it's kind of the same way with LOs too.
100%.
Like if you're not gonna like, the numbers look okay, but I don't trust you, they're gonna always shop us around, or
exactly.
They're always gonna have that reservation in the back of their
in the back
head.
of their mind, looking for a reason to go somewhere else, or talk to someone about something else, or
I actually just learned about that in sales, that there's a technique. Did you guys know about this? That like at the end of a conversation with someone, sorry if I'm giving away the secret, everybody, but
we'll mute it.
Okay, perfect.
We'll edit this out,
But like, actually, it's not even like a secret. It's just like something to really reflect on as a consumer and as somebody that's trying to, gain a client, like a trusted relationship, basically, is at the end of your pitch or whatever it is you're trying to do, like a meeting, is you say to the client, is there anything I have yet to speak to that would prevent you from, using me or hiring me? Because it gives you a chance to kind of clarify any misconceptions they might have about you.
It's like really honest.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
good advice.
Exactly. And then it's just like, because it's like, if they just say, you know what, I really just, then you can at least, you have one more shot to like shoot your shot. You know what I mean? And if they still don't want to work with you, then that's totally okay. Because you know what, that wasn't going to work out from the beginning if whatever reservation they have isn't something that has to do with you directly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this happens to me all the time. I go off on a tangent. Don't know where I'm going.
No, you're good.
John,
don't be like it. It's great. Keep going.
That's an excellent point. So we speak to a lot of clients on our side, and very few of them actually will end up using us. I
would say very few. I would say a good amount don't.
Well, not that you,
Well,
right?
the only reason I say very few is because like we have to go through so many leads, and it's like a lot of them don't even pick up. But the people that do, like, they have a reservation in the back of their head. They want to feel comfortable with the person that they're working with, and saying something like, "Hey, is there anything I haven't covered yet?" really is an excellent way to put them at ease and really touch all those bases and be a full service real estate agent to your clients.
Exactly. Right. And you know what? Especially I think when it comes to homes and mortgages, you're dealing with a lot of money. People don't like talking about money in general. It makes them very uncomfortable.
That's very true.
Right.
Yeah.
And so until people get comfortable with money, it's when they initiate that kind of relationship between a realtor or between a loan officer or anything like that, there's a wall up, right? Because it's like, I don't know if I want to show you how much money I got. Right. I don't know if I want you to, right? Because it's like, what?
Sending docs.
Yeah,
I don't know if you want to see that bank statement.
Exactly.
Yeah, people are super trepidatious, but like that's literally.
They'll send like a pay stub.
That's literally the
It's like, I need more. W2.
Exactly.
They'll send that.
And also, there's no judgment from us. We're literally here to provide a service, which is to help you and service you. Help me help you, right?
Exactly,
I'm not going to be making judgments about you or your life. I'm just trying to help you get to whatever goal it is that you have, right? So yeah, that's how we got into real estate. We, our friend John Enriquez helped us out, and he helped us find our house. And I think what was great about John was whenever we wanted to see a home, he was there in a hot second,
Availability.
That's awesome, yeah.
Exactly. And it was really nice. And, to make yourself available. I mean, I know it gets harder as, things change in life when you have kids and like you get married, like you have more responsibilities. Although at the same time, I don't necessarily want to say that because I have a lot of friends who aren't married or who don't have kids and they still have responsibilities. You know what I mean?
Of course,
you don't want to take away anything from somebody's, their own life choices and their own life path and what's important to them. But, so yeah, thanks to John, we got our house. And then a couple years later, Tim and I were working really hard at teaching. I was tutoring a lot. Tim was, coaching after school and on the weekends, baseball, basketball.
Baseball, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, baseball is Tim's love. He used to pitch in college, and he was a left-handed pitcher. Did he talk to you guys about how he broke his arm? I think so.
Yes,
right?
he did.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Incredible story.
It is, especially because he ruined girls' brunch that day because I was supposed to go to brunch.
Oh, that's sacrilegious. He's got to make up for it.
He's got to pay you back for that.
No, it's okay. Honestly, I couldn't believe that happened to him because, when you hear somebody like gets hurt in baseball, I'm like, okay, they got hit in the head. Like I was panicking about that. And then,
I never would have imagined that was like a common baseball injury.
Yes.
And then I looked it up after our podcast.
Yes.
And like that happens relatively often, not all the time, obviously, but like right here.
Yep.
Apparently when you're pitching, you can just break your arm.
Crazy.
Oh my God, so scary.
Yeah, it's honestly, but also like, no offense, men. I feel like they're some of the first ones to be like, oh, it's fine. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. And it's like, really? You just got off a plane. You haven't stretched. You haven't, all the things to do. And yet you're not doing it to like save your body, to, preserve your body, to take care of your body. And then it's always like, it culminates in like disaster. And then it's like, oh, I should have gone to the doctor. Oh, I should have stretched. Oh, I shouldn't. It's like,
stubborn men stuff,
Yeah, we can be like that.
Yeah.
It's okay. Women do sometimes, but I just thought it was funny. So yeah, that's pretty much how we got into real estate. After having a friend like John, Tim, was talking to him more and more about it. And Tim was just like, we should do this. Like we could do this and then we could learn about it. And, it's something that, we could really help people with.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody that very much grew up in a house that was like, no risk, no reward, and also like, what do you have to lose if you try something? So you fail? Okay. And then what?
It's fine.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. There's no real loss.
Exactly. So after that, I was like, all right, I'm down. Let's do this, So we did everything together. We took the course together. We took the state test together, like everything, like side by side. And the day we got our passes, we were like, whoa, it was
Who got the higher score?
I don't know, because I think they just say pass.
Oh,
I'm
really?
not sure. I don't remember.
I
could be wrong.
We get a score.
Wrong. Maybe I do have a score and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember, honestly.
I did pretty good on my test. I was proud of myself.
Only winners in here.
Yeah, there you go. So tell us about where you grew up and your educational background.
Okay, so I grew up in Melville. I grew up in the Half Hollow Hill School District.
That's right by where I grew up.
Yeah. Exactly. So I went to school at St. John's in Queens, and then I went for elementary ed, but I actually finished my bachelor's in 3 years, and then I did my master's in TESOL, which is teaching English to speakers of other languages, because I speak Spanish too.
Okay.
Although you don't have to speak Spanish to do that, but and then
it helps.
It helps. Yeah. And it helps in any way. Like, it's just the same thing as playing an instrument, right? Like, all the psychological studies show that if you speak another language, like you're activating those same like parts of your brain basically as if you're playing a musical instrument.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool.
Exactly. So I think a lot of people, a lot of parents, push their kid, do this as they get older, which is your own situation, your own house. But the fact of the matter is, as long as your child is using a part of their brain to do something, you know what I mean? Like something extra that they're specifically into, like they will flourish.
Absolutely.
Sorry, side note again, little tangent. You asked me how I got into my background.
Yeah, where'd you grow up?
I grew up
Half
in
Hollow
Melville,
Hills.
Half Hollow Hills.
School.
Yeah, it was. So I'm a realtor, so I don't know that I can say anything about school districts on the pod.
No, yeah, that's a very touchy subject.
Right?
I wouldn't.
Well, at the time you were there.
Yeah, positive or negative, honestly. So I'm just gonna. I went to Half Hollow Hills School, and I had a medium experience. Yes, okay. Honestly, I would. If we're just talking personally, I'll tell you about it. It was not negative.
There you go.
Good
hey,
enough.
let's move on from that.
Okay.
Good enough.
I can see how nervous you're getting.
Yeah, I know.
And I totally understand. So for anybody that doesn't understand why, so realtors aren't allowed to speak to the quality of schools. Mm-hmm. So she's not going to.
Nope.
But we will.
No.
And people are always so surprised. They're like, how's the school district? How's this? How's that? And
there's a website that everybody's allowed to go to. What's the website?
It's something like greatschools.org, I think it's called.
Exactly. And that's your reference. If you need to know about a school district, don't ask your realtor. You can ask your realtor what school districts are in the area, but they cannot tell you whether or not they're not allowed to give you their opinion or any anecdotal insight as to the quality level of the education.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know something, like if you have a realtor that does that, you should know that they're not doing the right thing, because we're trying to make, you want to make sure you're being fair, and people have to make their own opinions about the different places about where they want to live,
Yeah.
Do your parents still live in Melville?
They do, yeah. Okay. They still live there.
So Melville's obviously a great place.
Really? Yeah, Melville.
Melville's
exactly.
Great. Yeah, it's still great. Obviously, if the parents are still there.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. My dad keeps saying he wants to move, but I feel like that's every dad once the kids are
Everybody
out the house,
talks about
right?
moving all the time.
Florida?
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, there you go.
Hotter,
It's like once you hit a certain age, you're just like,
let's go to Florida.
Yeah, exactly.
The winters get real rough the older you get.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you go to Florida now, everybody's either from New Jersey or New York. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
You're like,
That's funny.
Like, why is your accent like mine?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
It's so true. Fort Lauderdale, all New York people.
That's right.
So there's a question that I typically ask everybody.
Okay.
If you could go back to the beginning of your career and give yourself advice,
Okay.
what advice would you give yourself?
I would say to do more research regarding, like, how do I explain this? This is going to sound silly, but regarding the financial aspects of a potential job or career you might want, and fully understanding the impact of those like financial pieces. So what I mean, for example, is when I was a little girl, I thought to myself, I can't believe mom and dad like only have this many bathrooms or something, right? Or whatever. And my parents' house is beautiful. Like I have nothing negative to say about it. But as a kid, I have 3 siblings, so we're always just like in each other's space. And I remember I would go over some of my friends' houses and like they had their own bathroom and they had their own walk-in closet. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I had to share with 3 siblings, God forbid I share. Now as an adult, I'm like, oh, that's just normal. Do you know what I mean? But I remember being young and thinking, I'm going to be a teacher and I'm going to have a mansion. And nobody ever told me. And Tim like laughs at me and he goes, nobody ever told you that like those 2 things don't add up? And I was like, literally no, because why? Well, first of all, why would that come up? Second of all, like, you know what I mean?
Who would be the person to crush your dreams?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Right. And I'm not walking around going, I'm going to be a teacher and have a mansion, right?
Yeah.
I just like you think things in your head. My sister and I laugh because we say, my younger cousin too, when I finally get a real job, I'm going to take you girls out and we're going to go shopping and I'm going to get a convertible and it's going to be great. Just like the movies again, right? And it's like, it's not like that. You know what I mean? And it's okay that it's not like that, but I don't think that like the younger kids know what they're getting themselves into when they grow up. Like I don't think they realize how much work it is to get to a specific place where you have, I don't want to say financial freedom, but like financial flexibility. Do you know what I mean? And I think that I think it takes like a lot of more like learning about like bills and just like being a grown up basically, and understanding how the world works for you to like really get that as silly, as sheltered as that might sound, but it's true. No, I think a lot of people don't know.
So I personally think that that's a result of social media. Mm-hmm. Everybody puts their best foot forward on social media.
Oh yeah, all the
time. So you don't see
including myself.
The difficulty, the struggle, the negative things.
Yeah.
Like, for example, somebody has a mansion. You don't like they're just on social media showing their mansion.
Yeah.
Whatever they're doing now, that's fine, but they don't necessarily go into what it took to get there.
Exactly.
Right? And also you see one person with one thing and for some reason everybody just assumes like that's the standard.
Yeah, 100%.
We were talking about that before. About social media and how like it kind of creates this like
monster
presentation.
Illusion.
It's an illusion that
yeah.
everybody is super successful, everybody's super happy, everybody's wealthy, but that's just not the case, and it's not supposed to be the case.
No, it's not. It's not. My mom always says to me, "Do you know how long it took us to get furniture when we moved into a house?" And that's the norm. Like people don't just like immediately have like all this brand new furniture when they move into a home.
It's a process. It's struggle. You build, you grow, you constantly you reassess, you retack, you go different directions. It's a learning process, and especially with having a partner, you're balancing 2 opinions.
Yeah, of course. Oh my gosh.
So
that's one thing I would have told my younger self is just like research things and understand more about how much things cost in life. And when I say how much, I mean like your bills, like, your electric, and like even just
water,
to know, because even like some of my friends, or people, clients that I know, they don't know about homeowners insurance or anything like that. And it's like, you have to literally sit down with them and say like, these are all the potential bills that you're going to have so that you're not blindsided basically. Because it goes from 0 to 60. You know, you're either living with your parents and then you jump into purchasing something, or you live by yourself in an apartment. And even in an apartment, it's nowhere near the amount of financial responsibility as a house is, right? So you really,
absolutely.
That I feel like is just, even if, and you know, the mansion thing is like a hysterical laugh, but even if just like, regardless of what job I went into, I feel like that would have been good to know as a younger person, to just like be more financially savvy. You know what I mean? Because then you just have, you know, maybe you take different paths, and maybe you
don't take that credit card
as a younger kid. You know what I mean?
It goes back to what you spoke about before about not necessarily knowing like the true cost of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing. I don't know if there's anything else I would have said beyond like, keep going, girl, you got it. Cause like, that's just how I feel about life. Like, it's never going to go perfectly, but every single experience you have brings you to where you were meant to be. So I'm not really the person that has like a lot of regrets, because I just really believe that like, if you don't like your life, you change it. And I've always been like that.
Amen.
Do you know what I mean? It's
That's
on
excellent.
you. Like, it's your life, and you're the only person that can make yourself happy. So, you know, throughout my life, I've made different decisions to make myself happy. You know what I mean? To change my life. And, you know, luckily I have Tim, who's been an amazing part of that. So
that's great. Yeah, that's incredible. My wife is extremely supportive, and, you know, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without her. So it's awesome that you guys have that relationship and that connection, and that you guys work together in a way that's productive, you know, because it's difficult. It's not easy.
And peaceful, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. That's not really necessarily everybody's path when they're in a relationship. They don't necessarily have to completely intermingle their entire lives, professional, personal, everything, you know. So most people have like degrees of separation, and they have their own personal relationships and their own personal projects and lives. But I think it's really incredible when a couple can do that, and it makes them stronger, and they grow together, and they get better. You know, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So the opposite of that is, what would you ask your future self?
What would I ask my future self?
Like, let's say you could go and find yourself at 60 and ask them like a question about
at what age?
Your career.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would ask them, what should I do first? Write the book, start the podcast, or start the business? Like other business.
All three
at the same time. Yeah.
That's how I feel sometimes, but also, you know, it's quality over quantity. And I don't know about other people, but for me, I feel like I'm a mom now, right? I have 2 kids. My focus is literally them. I literally don't care about anything as long as my kids grow up to be happy, healthy people. I'm not talking about, like, literally that's all I want. I don't care about anything else in terms of that, because I just feel like your kids, again, are going to be who they're going to be, and it's their choice to become who they want to become. So, you know, for me, like...
Just got to back them up.
Yeah, exactly. So my job is literally to back them up, but also by doing what makes me happy, because my children need to see a parent that enjoys working, that enjoys creating, and that knows that they are the only force that can change their own destiny, kind of thing. Because monkey see, monkey do, right?
Yeah,
so I want
awesome.
my children to see that modeled every day. But so because of that, you know, the question is, which one do I do first? Because I love, like, I just don't, when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. I'm not on my phone. I'm not, like, this is the time to, like, be with them, and they're only going to be a certain age for a certain amount of time, and they're so as an elementary educator, they're so impressionable right now at this age. And everything you do, they are watching, they are listening, they are downloading in their brain. Like, it's literally, there's like a switch that goes off in your brain up to age, I think it's like 8, where their state of conscious is literally just downloading. That's why they change over when they become like 7 years old, and you see like just like how they speak to you, how they talk, like everything changes because they've kind of stopped that part of their brain where they're just absorbing. Yeah. So that's why it's so crucial to like start them on a language or start them on or anything early.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or good manners, or just like a habit of reading, or just like being a good person.
My mom taught me all my manners.
So moms really matter, you know? So I guess I would ask my future self that. And then I would also ask, how many kids is too many? If you're also trying to like have a career, you know, and like be a realtor and do all those things, you know?
So that's an excellent question. So what do you do to balance your professional life? And so you basically have 2 jobs.
Yeah.
You're a mom and a homemaker.
Homemaker,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you're a mom and a homemaker.
Say? Okay.
And you're also a real estate agent.
I like to say.
How do you balance that?
Well, I like to say instead of homemaker, I like to say head of the household. Because my girlfriends and I, no offense, Tim, I love you so much. We were talking about this. You know, I'm sure you have the same way. Who buys the deodorant and all the groceries in your house?
We both do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who knows when something is running out?
She does.
Who knows when you need to pack a certain thing for your kid so that they'll have it to go to a specific event or whatever?
I feel like I always remember everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Steven, you are clutch.
Yeah. So like, and this is nothing about her.
No,
I just feel like in general,
and I'm just teasing. Like I get it.
No. Hey, look, every relationship is different.
Of course.
You know, it's not like a man, woman, husband, wife thing.
100%.
You know, everybody has their own insights.
Yes,
Yeah, everybody has
exactly.
their own experiences that
Yes.
create how their personality is. And for me, I've always just kind of been like the double checker, the
Yeah.
person who before I leave the house, I always go like I'll go outside, I'll turn the car on, put all my stuff in the car, and then I'll literally go back inside and check, double check and make sure that I
That's
have everything that I need.
That's awesome.
So I really just feel like in our relationship with my relationship with my wife, that experience and that like personality trait of mine happens to like overtake whatever motherly
That's
instinct
really
that she
good.
happens to have, and it's
No,
like,
no, no,
let me just
yeah.
double check whether or not we have this for the child, this
But
for the
that's so
child, this for the child.
helpful. That's so helpful. So I feel like, you know, what my friends and I were talking about is we feel like it's amazing because from you know, when we've had our conversations, and again, like you said, like you can't put labels on anybody or people's relationships. But what we find most of the time is that we feel like it's really women who run the economy because I'm the one that picks out the type of broccoli that Tim is eating, right?
Without a question,
like,
yeah.
You know, right? I'm the one that picks out the type of deodorant we use. I'm the one that picks out if I, you know, oh, actually, I think you should use this aftershave. This is better. This has better reviews. This is whatever it is, right? Like, I'm the one that does all that, and many women do, or men, whatever. But you know, with that being said, you have to be super organized.
Yeah.
Like that, at least that's what works for me. You have to be organized because if you're not organized, that's when things start to fall apart. I will also say you have to be organized about the things that matter. So like, for example, in schools, when your kid gets time to go to school, one of the things in elementary school is always like the spirit week. So like your kid gets to dress up every day for like, say like the winter break. They're like, oh, Monday is candy cane day. Wear red and white. Tuesday is wear crazy hat day. Wear crazy hat.
Yeah.
As a parent, now picture you get that letter and you're like, okay, well, I have this to do for work, this to do for work. And I have to like also make sure my kid is bathed, fed, clean, all that stuff, right? So stuff like that is cute, but that's not a priority. So like I don't stress out about things like that. You know, St. Patrick's Day is coming up. I did not order my son a St. Patrick's Day shirt. And on the calendar it says, because honestly, we're trying to save money. We got a budget to balance. Here. And 2, my son is 3. Yeah. He's not gonna, and even if he does know he's gonna say mommy, he's not gonna remember. He's gonna say, mommy, I didn't have a green shirt. I'm gonna be like, you know what? I'm so sorry. You know what? Sometimes you just don't have one, and that's okay.
You want to go to the bar crawl? That's
Yeah, you're probably right.
So you said something about how children are so impressionable, and like I agree with that so much. You know, I really, the only thing that I want, you said you want your kids to be happy and healthy. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I want my son, the only thing that I really want to impart onto my son is that he can do anything that he chooses to. If he puts his mind to it, he puts in the effort,
I know.
it will happen without a question. You know, obviously there's skill involved, and there's like a level of baseline talent that certain things require. Like if you want to be a basketball player,
10,000 hours.
If you want to be a basketball player, there has to be some innate natural ability, you know. But if you want to be a real estate agent,
Rudy, sorry.
You want to be a social media influencer, you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, all it takes is the confidence in yourself to know that you are capable of putting in the work.
Yep.
And that's all I want to give my son.
That's the key word, the work, right? Because
that's
so
all I want
many
to give my
people
son.
just see like the top,
and
it's like, well, it wasn't overnight. You know what I mean? Like I've been working for years. You know what I mean? To like do any, you know, like even just me being on this podcast, I'm super grateful. But I've been working for 10 years in a career. You know what I mean? I've been working for years in real estate. I've been working, you know, and finally I'm very lucky to have this experience where, you know, I do have a speaking skill set. Hopefully, I don't know if I'm speaking well right now, but you know what I mean?
Excellent.
Like, You know?
So one of the things I like about you is the fact that you do like the motherhood advice on Instagram.
Thank you.
You know, like you're really there to just support other mothers and give them
dads
words
too,
of
but that's really,
encouragement.
like,
yeah, but like let a dad encourage the dad.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Tim should do his own.
Because about connections,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Tim should do his own.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tim would be like, just listen to your wife.
Tim would be like, just listen to your wife.
Or he'd be like, just wake up and work out at 5 a.m. So you're out of the house.
Yeah, what an animal. We talked about
that. I know. Tim's
We're like,
amazing.
what?
Yeah, he's amazing, Tim. I'm honestly so proud of him because it takes you have to be a very like disciplined person because everyone knows working out is good for you in the morning. Everybody knows it's probably better.
How many
to
hours
wake
of
up
sleep
early.
is he getting?
Falls asleep at like 8 or 9. He goes to bed very early.
I wish I could do that.
Oh man, yeah, I
Because
can't even think about that.
Time, do you know what I mean? So,
yeah. Well, he's waking up at 5 in the morning, of course.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know?
Body just adjusts.
We did a first-time homebuyer seminar with him.
Yeah.
You know, it started at 6 in the evening. You know, so like
We were here till
He was drinking
8:39.
coffee.
exactly.
He was probably
It's
like,
8
oh my
o'clock.
God.
He's like, I should be in bed right
Yeah,
now.
we were talking to him. He
No.
was probably like, I gotta go to sleep.
No, he was awesome. He was great. The whole event was great. You know,
Yeah, he said he had a lot of fun.
it was good. Yeah, it was a good event.
First of many.
Yeah, exactly. It's the first one we had here too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
We've never actually done a first time homebuyer seminar in this office. This office. When did we open this office?
October?
October?
I think so. October.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay, that's nice. That's so fun.
he was part of the first. How great is that?
Yeah.
He'll be part of the second.
Oh my gosh, I'm very excited.
Boom. Yeah.
It'll work out the kinks, but we'll get there. No, it'll be a good time.
That's
So
funny.
I asked you how you balance like your multiple, I don't want to say jobs, but they're
Parts of
jobs. Like
life.
you're a mother and you're a teacher and you're a real estate agent.
Yes.
But so how do you balance, because you're working with your husband, what do you do for yourself? Like how do you
Just for Jackie?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do for yourself that doesn't involve the kids, doesn't involve your husband?
Yeah.
What do you do?
That's such a good question because I say this all the time on social media. One of the biggest messages I say is like, take a moment for yourself, regroup, and take a break and regroup, right? Because I read this
My
book.
wife loves Starbucks.
I mean, that's just like standard protocol for taking care of yourself.
There you
but
go.
I digress. I read this other book. God, I can't remember the name. And it was about the psychology. I love reading about the brain and about like humans and how they work. So I read this book and it explained the concept. They did all these studies and they basically said, right now, think about you're working, right? You're working hard to get a client, to do whatever it is you're trying to do. If you run yourself ragged and take a break at the end of your intense work, you actually put in your quality of work is actually less than if you would have worked, paused, taken a break, worked, paused, taken a break. And you get so much more done and you're so much more efficient and you have so much more, the word that like a lot of the psychologists use is flow. Do you guys know that word? Basically like when you're in the zone of doing something, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have so much more of that. And that's really when the magic happens in your brain. And so you're only hurting yourself if you don't take a break in between. So because I honestly, when I was a kid, I was in all the AP classes. I was very into school. I was that girl that was at extra help every morning at 6 a.m. because I was like, I'm gonna perform as well as I can on this test, or that's it, And it was hard. It was hard because sometimes like I didn't prioritize sleep. I didn't, prioritize, just taking a moment to like have a breath. And as an adult now, I realize that is so important because think about the times you get into a fight with somebody, right? Or like, just like, an argument with your wife or just like anyone, a friend, a family member. 90% of the time, you're either hungry, you're exhausted, or you're burnt out. Or maybe all three at the same time, right?
I like to say halt. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
Exactly.
Hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
Or lonely. I love that too
Yeah.
because then you're just disconnected. That's exactly it. Because sometimes, Tim and I will snip at each other and it's like, I don't really want to snip at him. What I really want is for him to come closer and just give me a hug. Do you know what I mean? But it's like you're so like wound up because you're so just like stressed, right? Your cortisol is just going through the roof because you're missing one of those halt things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That like I try so hard to just make sure I'm incorporating something to make sure that I'm not becoming a crazy person because I can very quickly.
We all can. Yeah, absolutely.
Shift. So I really I prioritize what I eat. I think that is, I think food is medicine. Tim and I really subscribe to that belief.
It's true.
Eating whole foods, like whatever your body is like a car, whatever you put in your body, you want it to run well. If you want that, eat whole foods. You want it to not run basically and start breaking down, eat junk,
It's crazy. I was talking to one of the other guys that works here before, and like our diet for like 50 years, like the recommended diet was like 70 to 80% grains. And it's like it just didn't make sense. Like it's the hundreds of thousands of years we've been here and we never ate 80% grains ever.
Yeah.
So you say whole foods, it's like meat, vegetables.
You're like,
right?
You have no idea. So like things from the earth that are not processed, that don't have additives and don't have food dyes and don't have the inflammatory oils like canola oil, vegetable oil. If I touch on this topic, we're not ever going to stop this podcast. It'll become
your stuff about this.
Like you have no idea. If you guys want a really good book,
that's okay.
If you guys want a realtor that's really into clean eating, just let me know.
Dietitian,
and like raising your kids, I got you. Like,
so there's an excellent metaphor for what you were just talking about giving yourself a break and really just centering yourself.
Yes.
So the old story is there's two lumberjacks. Mm-hmm. They both come to work at the same time every day. They both leave at the same time every day, but one of them leaves for an hour in the middle of the day.
Oh, like they actually take their lunch break?
The one that leaves for an hour in the middle of the day always cuts more wood than the other one. Mm. And the other one day asks him why. And he says, oh, that's easy because I go home and I sharpen my axe. Because he's leaving for an hour a day. He's taking a couple minutes to himself and he's... for
resetting.
us, our axe is our brain.
Yeah.
If you're taking care of children, if you're answering phone calls for clients, your brain is your axe.
Yes.
And you have to make sure it's sharp.
Yeah.
And it gets dull when you're working too much.
Yes. And it gets dull when you're not like creating, I like to say. You know what I mean?
That's true. Well, steel sharpens steel. So if you're working hard and you're constantly moving and you're, you're taking those pauses to reflect and reassess and retack and
and I feel like that's another thing too, just reflecting. Like now that I'm in my 30s, I think I think young kids have to like know what it is that lights them up like that inside, that like helps them decompress, because it's different for everybody, right? Like one of my favorite things to do, which honestly I haven't done in a while because I had a baby recently, is I love boxing. Like boxing. Oh, really? Yeah, I have a boxing bag in my basement. It is like for me, it's one of the best stress relievers to just hit the bag.
I've done combat sports my whole life, so I'm right there with you.
So yeah, 100%. It's the best.
Yeah, wrestled in high school. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as an adult for a while.
Oh, Tim really wants to get into
all that
jiu-jitsu.
Stuff.
Wow.
It's really good for you.
Yes.
It's really good for you to know your capabilities.
Exactly.
And know that you're physically able to either take a punch or give one. I know that sounds silly, but
well, also like your muscular, what is it? Your muscular skeletal. I also love reading all about like medicine in your body. Whatever that piece of strength is, that's like one of the most important things for aging. So like they say, like, how people get old and as soon as they fall, that hip is broken, right? That's why you have to continuously weightlift your entire life, or just like boxing, like some kind of activity where you're actually building strength training, something where you're building strength so that you don't basically break your hip. Because once your hip is broken, it's hard, to come back from that. That's like being super old.
That's like part of your core of your body.
Exactly.
It's like changes everything.
Yeah. So that's what I do. I actually love to read too. I read. The problem is reading gets me in trouble because I read before I go to bed, and I'm that person that like will read a whole book in one sitting because like I can't stop because I'm like, oh my God, this is so good.
So you never go to bed?
So that honestly that happened last week.
The sun rises and you're
following me on Instagram, that's what was happening. Every night I was reading a new book and I was like, all right, I'm going to bed at like 2 a.m. Wow. Like I really gotta rein it in, Jackie. So like this week I've only read one book and I went to bed at 11 last night. I was like, okay, good. Because like again, if you mess with like your balance in your body, right, and messing with my sleep, now my brain is shrinking, and I don't want my brain to shrink. I got a lot of stuff to do, right? So it's really just a balancing act. What'd you say?
A lot of people are relying on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether
and
it's
it's
your
like
kids, your husband, your clients,
and you want to show up, as your best self. You know what I mean? And just like for yourself, even. You know what I mean? Like you deserve that. Like to just like take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I could talk forever about anything. So
he's thinking of something. He's like, what else can we go into right now?
That's fine. No, well, yeah. I mean, look, this has been a relatively unique podcast. I mean,
Thanks.
Everybody else, they more talk about investing, the market.
I mean, we can.
Actually, that's a good question.
Okay.
So something that I didn't touch on with Tim that I would like to touch on and see how you feel about it is, what's your next investment project as a family, as a, two people that are in business together? Like what are your plans for the future?
I mean, Tim and I really want to have a couple of rental properties. So that's definitely something that we're looking into.
Out of state?
It changes all the time. We're still doing a lot of the research on it because we have a lot of friends who own rental properties in other areas and then also in New York State. So we'd really like to get into that. I'm trying to think of other investments. Tim is really big on teaching our kids about financial literacy from an early age. So he would even like to
I will be the same.
Yeah. He would even like to get a vending machine for our kids and teach them how to, something like that, or an ATM somehow, make it their thing. Right. Because I forget someone does it on Instagram.
Do you mean buying a vending machine, putting it somewhere and then that's your son's business?
Kind of. Yeah. Or doing it, but showing them this is how you kind of run a mini business. And then as they're teenagers, right, they kind of take on the responsibility a little more, right?
That's a great idea.
Yeah. I forget who he follows. Ask him. He'll send you or I'll send it to you after. And it's a gentleman who is a big investor, and he will post him and his sons who are in high school or college and showing what he does to teach them how to make money for themselves in different kinds of ways.
Oh, that's great.
So he charges them? His own sons?
No, he doesn't charge them. They just...
They're in charge of running a small business.
No, but it would be funny if you charged... you want toilet paper?
It is $2.
Toilet paper? $2. That's how they learn?
Actually, something, my girlfriend, but so her kids are my age, but she's my girlfriend. She told me that one of the best things she did for her kids was when they moved in after college or when they were living there during college, she charged them rent. And at first, I'm sure a lot of people have different feelings about this, which is fine. My parents didn't, but she said that what she did was she charged them, I think, $200, maybe $500 a month. And, they would moan and growl. It's just so unfair. None of my other friends charge me. Their parents charge them rent. And she was like, if you want to live here, that's how it is, right?
Yeah.
So they charge them rent, and then a year or two later they're ready to move out. They want to buy a car, and they're at the car dealership, and they're like, how much are you going to put down? And they look at the mom, like, I don't have any money. She goes, yes, you do. Hands back the envelope of all the money they paid for rent. And it's like, see?
That's incredible.
And that's how you invest. That's how you save. That's how you make a goal and a plan, right?
That's how I want to teach my son.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to be the parent that just says, this is our house. Mm-hmm. I've already paid for it. Mm-hmm. So here.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to be the parent who says, you have to pay rent.
I know. It has
So-
to be a balance, right? So
Exactly.
you have to teach them, but also
Exactly.
have it be meaningful and purposeful and genuine. You know what I mean?
And that is a good parallel for owning a home because you're not paying rent. You're paying into your equity,
Yes.
Yeah.
which is incredible,
Yes.
and then you can turn around just like that child, just like your friend's son or daughter did.
Yeah.
And hey, I have this equity. Can I use it to purchase this? That's
Exactly.
awesome. That's an awesome lesson.
Exactly.
I really like that.
Right?
I'm definitely going to use that.
And I
That's
also,
incredible.
right? And
Yeah.
then us too, we were like, oh, thank you, Eileen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Eileen. And the other piece
Can a
too,
1-year-old start paying?
I know, right? So kind of, right? They you learn about money. Right now, my almost 3-year-old is he doesn't really quite understand money. He knows, right, that money is used to purchase things, but I think it's confusing. I think it's confusing because now we use our phones a lot of the time. I'm out at Target and I just scan, right? Or I just swipe my credit card. He's not
you didn't see the cash.
conceptualizing that there's cash there,
Yeah.
right?
That's true.
I think, right?
People don't use cash as much. You don't think about it.
No.
So
Very
as
few
a
people
child,
use
you see cash. It's what is that?
Yeah.
Right?
So I think when it comes to kids, you have to just meet them at their level with anything you're trying to teach them. So what I do now with Timmy is, he'll ask we're at the store and he'll always say, oh, especially Target, oh, I want this Mickey thing. I want this toy. Can I see this? I'm like, you can absolutely look at it. And I give it to him, put it in the cart with him. He's looking at it. He's like, this is great. Throws it in the back. And then when it's time for us to get to the counter to pay, I'm always like, oh, hey, we're not going to buy this. And, that's a prime moment for a tantrum. But the way I do it is, we're not going to buy this. No, I know you really want it. But guess what? It costs money and we can't afford that right now. And it's okay that we can't afford certain things. We have to, mommy and daddy have to, use money to give you food and then buy other toys at another time, And also just communicating, you don't always need a million toys because then it's not fun. You want to play with the toys you have because and I always
You
tell them,
devalue your other toys,
exactly.
There's nothing wrong with not having
Sounds
the money
silly,
for
but
it.
you do.
And that's the thing. I don't want to, we're not embarrassed. No, sorry, we can't afford that. And it's okay that we can't
This thing's
afford that.
way more expensive than we thought.
Yeah, exactly.
You should be able to walk away.
$5, sorry, can't do it this week.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So that's, I think, just like, again, like when it comes to the investing and like, teaching your kids, it's like, as long as you're meeting them where they are and you're explaining things in a way that like doesn't make them afraid of money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes them see that
Money's
it's
an
an opportunity. Yeah, it's a tool and an opportunity to just like, create basically, what you
Absolutely,
want to.
yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, kids definitely follow what their parents do as far as spending habits, and if they spend money on everything, they're going to spend all their money.
That's definitely true.
That's
definitely true.
You got to learn the habits from the parents.
I also read a book about someone who she used to have her kids, when she would take them to the store, she'd say, "This is the amount we have. This is the list. Go."
Yeah.
And just like, go
balance and budget yourself.
Balance and budget. Come back.
So I asked. So right now, you guys. You bought your first property and you said you want to own rental properties.
Yes.
Are you guys interested in house hacking at all or no? Because
What do
you
you
have a
mean house
family
hacking? Like flipping?
like living in a house that you're also renting an accessory unit.
Oh, yes, we would do that. You know what's funny? Tim and I always say that, I always tell Tim, "Oh, you were right. Sorry." And I feel like that's like also a sign of a good relationship, is you have to be able to admit to the other person when they were right.
Take responsibility.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
Yeah. And I said that to him a couple of times as we've been living in the house we live in now. We love our home, but he was the one who, when we first bought it, he was like, "I think we should get something with an accessory apartment to help us pay our mortgage." And I was like, "I don't want to live with anybody else. I'm going to have kids and I just don't feel comfortable with that." And everybody,
That's what I was getting at, yeah.
Everybody has a different opinion on that, and that's totally fine. Now I would 100% do it. 100%. Every day I'm like, I can't believe we didn't do that. That was so silly, because we could have been moving out of that house by now and then rented out both parts of the house and then been purchasing another property. You know what I mean? Hey, like, only time will tell but
everything's a learning process.
Exactly.
Just because you didn't do something once doesn't mean you can't do it again.
Exactly.
And just because you are in a certain situation doesn't exclude anything else. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You could either sell that property or you could just rent it out.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you would be able to offset your expenses significantly renting it out.
Yes, probably.
But
for sure.
People don't realize that. A lot of people don't necessarily realize that, I have X, Y, and Z, and I can parlay X, Y, and Z into ABC, for example. And because you already went through the process, you're a little bit more experienced. It was a learning process.
Yes.
You learned how to purchase a home.
Yes, exactly.
And through living there, you learned what you want out of a home.
Exactly.
And the next step will be what's next. And the awesome part of that is it's kind of a mystery. You don't necessarily know, but you get to create that portion of your life.
Yeah.
You get to look at it and say, let's move this around. Let's do this. Let's figure out this. And there's so many options for people out there that are motivated and willing to put in the effort to do some investigation, due diligence, whatever you need to do to get things done.
Exactly. And I think that the more you work at anything, the better off your situation is going to be. Because honestly, we didn't do any research when we were buying a house. We didn't do any we didn't talk to anyone who had just bought a house, and that's something that I think Tim and I bring to the table is, if you work with us and you are someone maybe perhaps like us buying your first home, as a young couple, we can go through every single thing that, we learned basically, from both the husband and the wife perspective, because most of the times you're both focused on the goal, but you're focused on different aspects of the goal. Do you know what I mean?
Of course. Well, that comes back to what we were talking about before about personalities being different. Everybody has their own experience that influences their personality. Yeah. You have certain influences that influence, you have certain experiences that influence the way that you act. Yes. And Tim has certain influences that certain experiences, that influence the way he acts.
100%.
And you guys can utilize those tools that you've gathered throughout the years to build something together. Yeah. And that's incredible.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I'm very fortunate, honestly. I can't complain. I think the quality of your relationships in life is literally the number one thing you need to be, happy.
Yeah. So let's finish on, so I always ask everybody, what's something that you haven't done in your career yet that you'd like to do?
Oh.
We touched on a couple things that you're interested in doing soon, but let's think about something you didn't talk about. Like you said, you wanted to do a podcast.
I know exactly what the answer is. I have lots of big dreams.
There you go. That's good.
Thank you. I really want to do a TED Talk one day. Wow. I want to be featured on a TED Talk. Yes. I love helping people. I love empowering people. I love making people feel seen. There's this one quote that's there's no feeling like when you think something or whatever, you're doing something or something's happening to you, and a person sits down and they say something to you, you look at them and you go, you too? I thought I was the only one. Like that really like spoke to me, because I think that a lot of people sometimes they think that their own experience is completely separate from somebody else's.
They're like isolated.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, no, like
it's like people are going through the same thing.
Exactly. Most of the time we're going through at least similar things, and there's always somebody out there that you can connect to that can help you. You know what I mean? I really believe that it's cheesy, but it's true, that you rise by lifting others. Like that's
not
what it is.
Cheesy at all.
Right?
Yeah, that's not cheesy at all. That I believe is one of the fundamental things about being a human being that we have to do.
Yeah.
Is help others. Otherwise, it hurts you.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're actually hurting yourself. Like you're not even hurting them. You're really hurting yourself.
Yeah.
100%.
Like the ability to go out of your way for somebody else is such a rewarding experience that I think without it, you end up living almost a vaporous existence where like you don't have any purpose and meaning and like, you may have flashy things, but like,
it doesn't.
Who is it helping?
Exactly. No one. And you know what? That's why I love education, because you're serving a community, you're serving children. And just to that point, I love real estate because you're serving anyone. And,
helping people buy the house for the first time.
You think like it's
one of the most important things.
It's a serious thing. It's scary for so many people. And like to be there to like make sure they feel comfortable and, just like happy with this decision they're making, this huge decision that's going to alter their whole life. That's something that like Tim and I take a lot of pride in, and that we feel really like privileged and humbled that like people choose us to do that, there's so many realtors out there, which is awesome because, hey, pick of the litter. But, it's so when, someone picks you, it's like you take it, Tim and I take it very seriously, and that's also why I like working with him, because it's like, hey, 2 agents for the price of 1 people. Don't forget, small homes.
There you go.
Seems like it's more of a personal thing than just business,
Yeah, because we went through
clients
it.
like it,
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So we wear a lot of hats in our industry, whether it's on the real estate side of things or the loan officer side of things.
Yes.
And the most important hat that we get to wear, and I say get to
Therapist?
because it is an opportunity. You took the word right out of my mouth.
Oh, I did? Oh my gosh.
Right out of my mouth. You're a therapist for your clients.
Yes.
You're a therapist for your clients.
Yeah.
You get to give them peace of mind if you're skilled at what you do. And especially on your side of things and on my side of things, like it's such a big thing to purchase a home and to own property.
I know.
We were talking to somebody recently and they talked about their clients crying because they were the first people to ever own a home in their family. Like that's incredible. That makes me so happy. It's so rewarding.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. I am so grateful that I have the opportunity to be able to put people's mind at ease and help them grow and move from one step to the next step.
I know.
Like that's awesome.
Yeah,
and I am so grateful for that ability. Yeah, exactly.
A big goal. It's not an easy goal. It's difficult and it's very rewarding, right? Would you say?
Absolutely. I'll honestly, I don't think that we could end it on a better place.
Okay.
At a better place. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming. This has been great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
So,
sorry you didn't get to talk that much.
It's okay. Honestly, I was just like watching.
James is here because I really respect him, and I think he's like the funniest person that we work with. And he always says hysterical things.
This was a really good episode. It was a different tone.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
No.
Okay.
We hit
every time I try to talk, she cut me off now.
We had some really important topics, and we talked about some very, very important things. So I want to say thank you.
No, it was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that
for
was
having
awesome.
Me.
So
we should have you and Tim on at some point.
That would honestly be so much fun. I always tell him, let's get on a story together on Instagram, social media, and he gets a little shy.
We'll have him sit in each side.
Don't let him.
I know.
Let him. Like you said, you're the head of the household. Make decisions.
Tim's head of the household too.
Set the schedule. Well, of course.
I mean, hey, he was the one that came on here here first. He was the one that was like, Jackie, this is a great opportunity.
That's because you were busy taking care of the household.
That's funny. Yeah. Probably. Yeah, right. Probably. You're actually right.
Yeah.
The kids were sick, and he was like, we're going to do this podcast. I'm like, the children are sick. I can't talk about a podcast right now, Tim. I swear to God.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming. This has been the Road Home podcast. Thank you so much, Jacqueline.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so nice of you. Seriously, I'm very, very, very grateful. So was Tim. Super grateful.
Absolutely. No, it's been a pleasure. And I know that this is going to add value to other people.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
No problem.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.